What up? What up? So we got another book review. The Tricontinental Conference, 1966, in Havana, Cuba. So this book is really good. What is it? It's edited by Milano de los Santos. Hope I'm saying that right. And foreword by VJ Prashad. Right. So really good. Okay. So this book, it pretty much talks of it's a series of speeches from this monumental historical event, the Tricontinental Conference of 1966, and pretty much it's a collection of all of over 80 countries, over 500 delegates from these countries met in Havana, Cuba, to pretty much talk about U.S. imperialism, neocolonialism, colonialism, and how those things were impacting their country. And they were actively, many of these people at the time were actively involved in revolutionary struggles for their, for independence. Even if they had independence, they wanted to have real independence. Because they were fighting against neocolonialism, right? So this book is really good because it provides clarity in terms of what they were actually fighting for and what were they fighting against. So you can go from country to country to country: Chile, Cuba, Vietnam, Palestine, Congo, South Africa. And one of the amazing things I love about this book is when you're reading about the ways that colonialism and neocolonialism is negatively impacting their country. They're talking about that in the speech, but they're also very much aware of other people's struggles, right? And they're understanding the connections between the injustices that they're fighting against and the injustices that is in other countries, right? So someone in South Africa, right, they were very much aware about the oppression of African Americans, within the U.S., right? Same thing with Chile, same thing with Palestine, right? It was making these connections, right? So, in our current day today, 2026, we got Donald Trump attacking all these different countries, right? Committing war crimes, right? Killing people, doing drone attacks in Venezuela, kidnapping the Venezuelan president and his wife. Then you got him bombing up Nigeria. Then you got Trump having a full scale war against Iran, right? So the Trump of that era in 1966 was Lyndon Johnson, right? So the U.S. had troops, boots on the ground in Dominican Republic, right, trying to overthrow a democratically elected leader, right, or trying to impose a neo-colonial leader. You had the U.S. government supporting the South African apartheid government that killed black people just because they wanted to have control in their own country, right? So you had that, and at the time Nelson Mandela is locked up, right? So the U.S. is supporting the apartheid government and looking at Nelson Mandela and other people in the ANC as terrorists. And then also they're in Vietnam, right? They're bombing up Vietnam. They have troops in Vietnam. They're bombing up Vietnam, northern Vietnam, southern Vietnam. Also bombing up nearby countries like Laos and Cambodia, right? So this country, I mean, this book puts in perspective U.S. imperialism, and it talks about what that actually means. What is U.S. imperialism? How does it show up in the Congo? How does it show up in South Africa? How does it show up even in the U.S.? Okay, because like I said, these all of these movements, these revolutionary movements, were very much aware of the oppressed conditions of poor people, black people, Hispanic people within the U.S. empire, within the USA itself, right? But this is very clarifying because today, this is what our solidarity needs to be based on. It's not just based on skin color. It's also based on, and more importantly, what type of world do we want to live in, right? Everybody should be able to have free healthcare, free childcare, housing, shouldn't go hungry, you know what I'm saying? And should be able to live in dignity, should be able to live with dignity and freedom, and in the material world, you know what I'm saying, and have their culture respected and all of that stuff. So this is real solidarity, and I think this is what we gotta definitely lean into this history and read and study, because the things that they were fighting against in this conference is still very much with us, right? U.S. imperialism has just gotten stronger. It's just developed this, so slavery didn't end, it just evolved. Imperialism and colonialism didn't end, it just evolved. So get this book, really good. But yeah, you're gonna hear revolutionaries from Chile to South Africa to Palestine to Haiti. It's so many countries. 82 countries, they can't be wrong. All I'm saying is they can't be wrong. 82 countries now. But yeah, go get this book. Real good.